Hello my dear students, here I am Dhruva Patel, your biology teacher in Aaradhya class at c.t.m. Now beta, in our last session we have dealt with the post fertilization events, and in that especially about development of the zygote up to the embryo only. Fine. Now in our this session we will deal with the development of an embryo into new individual, or that is known as the embryogenesis also. Fine. Development of embryo into new organism. Now in our last session we have seen with the help of the chart that after the formation of the embryo there are mainly two processes occurs, that is the differentiation and organogenesis. These are the two processes, and as a result development of a new organism occurs from the embryo. So beta, we can say differentiation, cell differentiation and organogenesis are process. Fine. And as a result development occur, that is one event. Fine. कि जिसकी वजह से one embryo whole organism में convert हो जाता है. And as बेटा हमने already जब चार्ट देखा तब differentiation की definition देखी थी. Fine. Okay. So over here we can say in this process cell differentiation and organogenesis are two processes by which development occurs. Fine. And what is the exact meaning of development? That is nothing but conversion of embryo to new living organism is known as the development. Means हम इसको ऐसे भी बोल सकते हैं कि डेवलपमेंट यानी कि नथिंग बट एम्ब्रियो टू न्यू लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म. Now beta, on the basis of their development pattern on the basis of their development pattern of the embryo, organisms are mainly of two types. They are the oviparous and another one is the viviparous. So beta, we can say on the basis of pattern of development of embryo, organisms are mainly of two types. Organisms are mainly of two types. And this is nothing but oviparous animals, oviparous organisms, and next one is the viviparous animal organisms. Viviparous organisms. So now beta, we will study both these type about oviparous organisms and viviparous organisms in a detail. So now beta, first we will see about the oviparous development. Actually what happens in a oviparous development. Fine. Oviparous organisms. सो बेटा ओविपेरस ऑर्गेनिजम्स का सिंपल मीनिंग ये होता है कि इन दिस ऑर्गेनिज्म एम्ब्रियो coming out from the body of the female after some development, and then the further development occur into the external environment. In these type of organism, embryo coming out from body of female after some stages of development. Okay, after some stages of development, and then further development occurs outside the body in external environment. Fine. So बेटा इससे आपको ये तो पता चला होगा कि चाहे ओविपेरस ऑर्गेनिजम्स हो कि विविपेरस, उसमें फर्टिलाइजेशन तो इंटरनल हुआ है. इंटरनल फर्टिलाइजेशन हुआ है बेटा, एम्ब्रियो के डेवलपमेंट के थोड़े से स्टेज भी अंदर हुए हैं और फिर वो बाहर आते हैं. फाइन इनफ. ओके, आफ्टर सम स्टेज ऑफ डेवलपमेंट एंड further development of embryo to new living organism occurs outside the body. Now beta at that time this embryo is covered with the hard calcareous layer. एम्ब्रियो के सराउंडिंग में बेटा हार्ड कैल्शियस लेयर बन जाता है जिसको हम एग बोलते हैं. फाइन. एंड हार्ड calcareous layer forms surrounding to embryo that is simply known as the egg. That is known as egg, and that is for the protection of the embryo as it is developed outside the body of female. So over here, same as external fertilization, there is a great chance of the loss of the egg or embryo. Fine. For protection of embryo. Fine. Now between these oviparous type of the organisms, at the end of the development, the new one coming out from the egg, and they live as an independent organism. In these, at the end of development, the young one coming out from egg and live as a independent organism. Fine. Beta, this is mainly occurs in all species of the birds. बर्ड्स की बेटा जितने भी स्पीसीज है सब में मेनली ये होता है कि आफ्टर दी सम स्टेज ऑफ द डेवलपमेंट उसका एम्ब्रियो जो है वो हार्ड कैल्शियस लेयर से सराउंडिंग होके एग के फॉर्म में बॉडी से बाहर आ जाएगा, वहाँ पे वो पूरा डेवलप होगा एंड एट द एंड ऑफ द डेवलपमेंट उसमें से न्यू वन हैच आउट हो जाएगा, और इन सिंपल वर्ड यू कैन से इट एज अ कमिंग आउट. Fine, but beta one more thing is that there is a great chance of the loss due to the predators. Fine, there is a great chance of loss of embryo due to predators. नाउ बेटा एग्जाम्पल्स में हम लिख सकते हैं ऑलमोस्ट इन ऑल बर्ड्स. फाइन बेटा, नाउ विल सी अनदर टाइप ऑफ द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ एम्ब्रियो, दैट इज नथिंग बट दैट इज अ विविपेरस. Now another type of the organisms on the basis of the development of embryo is nothing but that is the viviparous organism. Viviparous organisms. Fine, okay. These viviparous organisms यानी कि nothing but the complete development of embryo occurs inside the body of the female and then young one coming out from the body of the female by the process known as the birth. Fine. In these complete development of embryo occurs inside the body of a female and then young one coming out from the body of female by the process known as birth. Fine. So in a very simple language beta, for the viviparous organisms we can say they gives birth to organisms or new one, and for the oviparous they lays the egg. Fine. So हम यहाँ पे simple बोलेंगे बेटा, they gives birth to young one. Fine. Now we have one more thing. Inside the body of the female, the embryo is attached with the body of the female with the help of the placenta. The embryo is attached with body of a female through placenta. Fine. Now the embryo developed inside the body of the female can get nourishment from the body of the female with the help of the placenta. Fine. So we can say that with the help of a placenta, developing embryo can get nourishment from the body of a female. Now beta over here in this case of the viviparous organism, because of the better nourishment and care inside the body of the female, there is the highest chance of the survival of the new one in these viviparous type of organism, because of greater care and nourishment, there is a highest chance of survival of new organism. Fine beta. And these viviparous organisms or viviparous pattern mainly observed in the mammals, in all mammals. Almost in all mammals, the development of the embryo occurs through this viviparous process. Okay, now beta we will see this post-fertilization events, especially in case of the flowering plant. Fine. Now beta, as you know very well, your second chapter is specially about the reproduction in a flowering plant. तो उसमें तो आपको बहुत डेप्थ में पढ़ना ही है रिप्रोडक्शन की तीनों इवेंट्स फॉर द फ्लावरिंग प्लांट, that is pre-fertilization, fertilization and post-fertilization. बट यहाँ पे बेटा इस वाले चैप्टर में फ्लावरिंग प्लांट में स्पेशली पोस्ट फर्टिलाइजेशन इवेंट्स कैसे होती है वो थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लेनेशन शॉर्ट में दिया है, so that I am going to explain over here. Fine. So now we'll see post fertilization events in a flowering plant. In flowering plant. So beta first I am going to explain you this thing by with the help of the diagram and फिर हम उसको देखेंगे कैसे होता है. देखो बेटा, just for an example over here I am going to draw about the female reproductive part that is known as the carpel or pistil, जिसको हम क्या बोलेंगे बेटा, carpel or pistil. Fine. Okay, as you know very well, this is the stigma, this is the style, this is the ovary, and which contain the ovule or known as the embryo sac, जो आपको चैप्टर नंबर 2 में से पता चल जाएगा what is this embryo sac is. Embryo sac is nothing but bag like structure where whole embryo is developed. Fine. So after landing of the pollen grain on this stigma, what happens? See, this is the intine layer, this is the exine layer. Fine. Okay. ये जो बेटा पोलन ग्रेन होते हैं उसमें से ऐसे पोलन ट्यूब डेवलप होती है एंड वो यहाँ पे एम्ब्रियो सेक में एंटर होती है. फाइन. एंड ओवर हियर ऑलरेडी एग सेल इज देयर. बेटा एज दिस एम्ब्रियो सेक इज द 7 celled and 8 nucleate condition, बट वो यहाँ पे ड्रॉ करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Over here we have to concentrate which changes occurs in a post fertilization event. Fine. Okay, so just assume this is the egg cell. ये तो पता ही होना चाहिए बेटा because fusion इसके बीच में होने वाला है. Now from this pollen grain यहाँ पे 2 male gametes आएंगे. Fine enough. These are the 2 male gametes. नाउ बेटा वन मेल गैमेट विल फर्टिलाइज एग सेल. सो ये वाला मेल गैमेट बेटा ये एग सेल को फर्टिलाइज करेगा. सो एज अ रिजल्ट बनेगा जाइगोट. फाइन. नाउ वन मोर थिंग बेटा, द वन सेकेंडरी न्यूक्लियस इज देयर इन अ मिडल, कि जिसमें दो न्यूक्लियस होते हैं, दैट विल फर्टिलाइज्ड बाय दीज अनदर मेल गैमेट एंड दैट विल फ्यूज द एंडोस्पर्म. वो क्या बनाएगा बेटा? एंडोस्पर्म बनाएगा. ओके. नाउ अभी क्या होगा? जस्ट होल्ड फॉर मिनट. नाउ बेटा विच आर द फर्दर इवेंट्स. ये तो मैंने बोला फर्टिलाइजेशन हुआ. नाउ विल कॉन्सेंट्रेट ऑन अ पोस्ट फर्टिलाइजेशन इवेंट. So first and foremost, as you know very well, in a case of the flowering plant, in a flower mainly 4 whorl are there. So 4 whorl जो होते हैं they are nothing but calyx, corolla, androecium and gynosium. And this female reproductive part is the part of the gynosium. So सबसे पहले होगा बेटा आफ्टर फर्टिलाइजेशन, एट द टाइम ऑफ द पोस्ट फर्टिलाइजेशन इवेंट्स, all other 3 whorl degenerate besides to this gynosium. फाइन. एक तो बेटा फ्लावर में से बाकी के तीनों whorl जो है वो तीनों whorl डिजेनरेट हो गए. देन बेटा ये जो फीमेल रिप्रोडक्टिव पार्ट है उसका अपर पार्ट भी रिमूव हो जाता है. नाउ ओनली लोअर मोस्ट ओवरी इज देयर. In that first change occur, that is nothing but this zygote will convert into the embryo and seed. Fine. Now these will converted into the endosperm. Second thing beta, the remaining portion of these ovary get converted into the fruit. Fine. And last one, the wall of the ovary is converted into the fruit wall, or that is known as the pericarp. Fine. Okay. Now beta we will see in form of the theory which changes occurs in a post fertilization event. So first one is the calyx, corolla and androecium degenerate from the flower. Degenerate from the flower. Then बेटा सेकंड चेंज जो होता है that is nothing but जो zygote बना था ना, zygote to embryo to seed. Fine. And seed is nothing but end product of the fertilization or sexual reproduction in a flowering plant. वो मैं आपको एक्सप्लेन कर रही हूँ क्यों. Seed is end product of sexual reproduction in case of the plant. Fine. Then बेटा क्या होगा? Ovary get converted into the fruit, and last one, the wall of a ovary get converted into the fruit wall, that is known as the pericarp. Wall of ovary get converted into the fruit wall, or that is known as the pericarp. Fine beta. Okay. So this is nothing but the changes occurs in a flowering plant during the post fertilization event. Now one more thing beta, why we can say these as a seed as an end product of the sexual reproduction? Because the reason is that beta seed के बाद नया living organism कब बनेगा, कैसे बनेगा, that pattern is different in all different types of the plants. Fine. जैसे कि एक बार जो सीड बन गया बेटा वो अपने फ्रूट में से डिस्पर्जन होने के बाद जब भी उसको फेवरेबल कंडीशन मिलेगी तब जाके वो जर्मिनेट होके नया प्लांट देंगे। तो उसके आगे का हम कुछ नहीं पढ़ सकते हैं। विल कंसीडर सीड एज अ एंड प्रोडक्ट ऑफ सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन इन केस ऑफ द प्लांट्स, बिकॉज ऐसे भी हैबिटेट डेट पाम के ऐसे 100 ईयर्स बैक से भी सीड्स मिले हैं कि जो अभी तक जर्मिनेट होने के बाद नए प्लांट्स दे रहे हैं। सो दिस इज टोटली अ वरीड इन अ डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ दी प्लांट्स। सो बेटा हम यहाँ पे सीड को ही एंड प्रोडक्ट कंसिडर करेंगे इन केस ऑफ द फ्लावरिंग प्लांट्स, while in case of the all other organisms like the animal की sexual reproduction की end product directly new living organism ही होता है। Fine. So बेटा this is whole about our chapter number 1 reproduction in a living organism. आई होप कि आप सब ने ये चैप्टर बहुत अच्छे से एंजॉय किया होगा। फाइन। एंड बेटा अगर आप इसको ऐसे ही याद रखोगे सो यू कैन स्कोर वेल इन दिस चैप्टर एज दिस इज द वेरी वेरी इजी चैप्टर।